Karoline Leavitt stood by her apartment window, looking at the paper in her hands. The morning sun made the city of New Boston shine, but her mood was dark. The paper was a court order. She had to go to court tomorrow, and she was not happy about it. Karoline was 32 years old with bright red hair and sharp green eyes. For 10 years, she had been one of the best lawyers in the Terran Coalition. Her job was to help humans who worked in space, the humans who found and dug up valuable rocks on far planets. She was good at her job. Very good. The paper said she had done something wrong in her last big case. The case was about miners from Earth who had land on a planet called Centauri. Some aliens called Andromedans had taken their land. Karoline had fought for the miners and won. The miners got their land back, but now someone said she had broken the rules. "This is not true," she said to the empty room. "I did everything right." Her phone rang. It was her friend, Greg Peterson. Greg was also a lawyer. He had heard about her trouble. "Karoline, this is not fair," Greg said. "Everyone knows Judge Franklin does not like human lawyers. He always sides with the Andromedans." Karoline sat down at her desk. "It does not matter if he likes humans or not. I followed all the rules in my case." "Maybe," Greg said. "But Franklin is known for finding small mistakes to punish human lawyers. He does this a lot when they win against Andromedans." Karoline looked at the court order again. She had to be at the Galactic Court at 9 in the morning. The Galactic Court was where cases about space and aliens were heard. "I will not let him scare me," she told Greg. "If I have to defend what I did, I will. And I will use the same laws he says I broke." Greg's voice got lower. "Be careful, Karoline. Franklin has friends in high places. This might be a trap." After she hung up, Karoline turned on her computer. She needed to check her work on the Centauri case again. She had to make sure she had not missed anything. But deep inside, she knew she had done her job right. There was something else going on. She spent the next few hours going over every part of the case. The miners had found valuable rocks on Centauri, a planet that was far from Earth. They had all the right papers. They had followed all the rules. Then the Andromedan Consortium, a big alien company, had come in and said the land was theirs. They had kicked the miners out. Karoline had taken the case to court. She had shown that the miners were there first and had the right papers. The judge in that case had agreed with her. The miners got their land back. The Andromedan Consortium lost a lot of money. "That's what this is about," she said out loud. "They lost money and now they want to punish me." Her phone rang again. It was her boss, Alan Webb. "Karoline, I just heard," he said. "This is big trouble. Judge Franklin is not known for being fair." "I know," she said, "but I did nothing wrong." "The firm wants you to know we stand with you," Alan said. "But if Franklin rules against you, it could hurt our business. Many of our clients are afraid of the Andromedans." Karoline felt a cold feeling in her chest. "Are you saying if I lose, I might lose my job?" There was a pause. "Let's hope it does not come to that." After Alan hung up, Karoline felt alone. Her job was at risk. Her good name was at risk. All because she had won a case for humans against a powerful alien group. She got up and went to her bookshelf. It was full of law books, not paper books, but small devices that held millions of words. She took one down and turned it on. It was the Galactic Law Code. The rules that all beings in the Coalition had to follow. If Judge Franklin wanted to play with the law, she would be ready. She was not just any lawyer. She was one of the best. She knew the law better than most judges, even Franklin. As night fell on New Boston, Karoline kept reading. She found what she was looking for in Section 47 of the Galactic Court Rules. It was about judges who had ties to cases they heard. If a judge had any link to one side in a case, they had to step down. They could not be the judge. She needed to find out if Franklin had any ties to the Andromedan Consortium. It was a long shot, but it was her best hope. She called her friend, Zach Young, who worked in the court records office. "Zach, I need a favor," she said. "I need to know if Judge Franklin has any links to the Andromedan Consortium. Can you check the court records?" "That's not easy to find, Karoline," Zach said. "Those records are not public." "I know, but I need help." This judge is trying to ruin me for no good reason. Zach was quiet for a moment. I'll see what I can do. But be careful, Karoline. The Andromedans have a lot of power. I know, she said. But so does the law. After they hung up, Karoline felt a little better. She had a plan now. If she could prove Franklin had ties to the Andromedans, she could ask for a new judge. A fair judge. She went to bed late, her mind still racing. As she tried to sleep, she went over her case again and again. She had done nothing wrong. She had won fair and square, and now powerful beings wanted to punish her for it, but they had picked the wrong lawyer to mess with. Karoline Leavitt knew the law inside and out. She was smart, she was tough, and she was not afraid to fight. Tomorrow would be hard, but she would be ready. Morning came too soon. Karoline got up and put on her best court clothes, a dark blue suit that made her look strong and sure. She ate a small breakfast, but food had no taste today. Her stomach felt tight with worry. The Galactic Court building was the tallest in New Boston. It rose high into the sky, more than 200 floors of shining glass and metal. Karoline took the fast lift to floor 157, where Judge Franklin had his courtroom. The lift doors opened. Many people were waiting outside the courtroom. Some were reporters, some were other lawyers. They all looked at her as she walked by, some with pity, some with interest. News had spread fast about her case. "Good luck in there," said an old lawyer she knew. "Franklin is in a bad mood today." "Thanks," she said, and walked into the courtroom. The room was big, with high walls and rows of seats. At the front was a tall desk where the judge would sit. Karoline went to the front table on the right side. This was where she would sit as the person being charged. The door at the front opened. A tall alien with gray skin walked in. "All stand for Judge Harold Franklin," the alien said in a loud voice. Everyone stood up. Judge Franklin walked in. He was tall for a human, with pale skin and green eyes that looked almost fake. He wore the black robes of a galactic judge. He looked at everyone in the room, then his eyes stopped on Karoline. He did not smile. "Sit," he said, and everyone sat. "Judge," Franklin looked at his screen. "This court is now in session. The case is Galactic Court versus Karoline Leavitt. Ms. Leavitt is charged with breaking Procedural Code 34.7b during the Centauri mining rights case." He looked at Karoline. "Ms. Leavitt, do you understand the charge?" Karoline stood up. "Yes, Your Honor." "How do you answer to this charge? Did you break the rule or not?" "I did not break the rule, Your Honor," Karoline said in a clear voice. Franklin's mouth turned down. "The facts say you did. The Andromedan Consortium says you did not tell the court about past cases that would have hurt your side. With respect, Your Honor, I told the court about all cases that mattered to my case." "The consortium does not agree," Franklin said. He pressed a button on his desk. "They say you left out 3 important past cases." The gray-skinned alien walked over and gave Karoline a small computer. She looked at it and saw the 3 cases they said she had not told the court about. Carolina knew these cases well. They were not about the same kind of thing as her case. They would not have changed anything. "Your Honor, these cases are not about mining rights the way the Centauri case was. The first 2 are about who owns planets, not who can mine on them. The third case was thrown out 5 years ago in the Dawson versus Rigelian Mining Corp case." Franklin's eyes got narrow. "That is what you say." "It is not just what I say, Your Honor. It is what the law says," Karoline said. She kept her voice calm. "If you let me show you why—" "I have heard enough," Franklin cut her off. "This court finds you broke Procedural Code 34.7b. You must pay a fine of 50,000 credits. You are also on watch for 1 year. If you break any more rules in that time, you will lose your right to be a lawyer." People in the courtroom started to talk. This was a very big fine, and being on watch for a year would make it hard for Karoline to do her job. Most people got much smaller punishments for this kind of thing if they were punished at all. Karoline stayed calm. "I want to appeal this, Your Honor. I have that right." Franklin smiled, but not in a nice way. Yes, you have that right, but most appeals like this fail. He hit his desk with a small hammer. Court is done for today. Everyone stood as Franklin left the room. Then the talking got louder. Reporters rushed out to tell the news. Other lawyers came up to Karoline. That was not fair, one said. He did not even let you defend yourself, said another. Karoline put her things in her bag. It is not over, she said. Outside the court, reporters tried to get her to say things. Ms. Leavitt, will you appeal? Do you think the judge was fair? What will you do now? Karoline just said, no comment, and walked past them. Her friend Greg was waiting for her by the lift. That was bad, he said. Yes, it was, she said. But Franklin made mistakes. Big ones. What do you mean? The lift doors closed, leaving them alone. He did not let me defend myself, Karoline said. That breaks court rules, and he made his mind up before he heard my side. That also breaks the rules. Can you prove that? Greg asked. Not yet, she said. But I will. Franklin thinks he has all the power. He thinks he can push me around because he is a judge. But he does not know who he is dealing with. Greg looked worried. What will you do? First, I need to know why. Why does Franklin hate human lawyers so much? Why did he go after me so hard? There is something we do not know. The lift reached the ground floor. As they walked out of the building, Karoline's phone made a noise. It was a message from Zach in the court records office. I found something. Call me when you can. Not on your normal phone. Karoline looked at Greg. I need to go. Be careful, Greg said. This is getting big. I will, she said. But Franklin is the one who should be careful. He picked a fight with the wrong lawyer. Karoline walked away from the court building, her mind racing. The fine would hurt her bank account. Being on watch would make her job harder. But none of that mattered right now. What mattered was finding out the truth and making sure Judge Franklin paid for what he had done. Not just to her, but to who knows how many other human lawyers. The game had just begun. And Karoline Leavitt was very, very good at games. Karoline went to a small coffee shop 3 blocks from the court building. She sat in the back corner where no one could hear her. She used a different phone, one that could not be tracked, to call Zach. I got your message, she said when Zach answered. What did you find? Something big, Zach said. His voice was low and quick. I looked into Franklin's money. He gets paid as a judge, but he also gets money from somewhere else. A lot of money. Karoline leaned forward. From where? A group called the Interstellar Justice Initiative. It says it teaches people about space law, but most of its money comes from a company called Nexus Holdings. Who owns Nexus Holdings? Karoline asked. That's the big part, Zach said. Nexus is mostly owned by 5 members of the Andromedan High Council, the same council that runs the Andromedan Consortium. Karoline felt her heart beat faster. So Franklin gets money from the same aliens who lost the Centauri case. Yes, Zach said. And there's more. The case against you was not really filed by the consortium. It was filed by Franklin's helper, Lyra Knox. She's half Andromedan herself. So, Franklin made up the case against me, Karoline said. It was not a question. It looks that way, Zach said. Be careful, Karoline. If he finds out I told you this, we're both in big trouble. I'll be careful, she promised. Thank you, Zach. After they hung up, Karoline sat still for a long time, thinking. This was bigger than she had thought. It was not just a judge being mean. It was a judge being paid to be mean. And that was against the law. The big law that all judges had to follow. She ordered another coffee and took out her small computer. She needed to find out more about the Interstellar Justice Initiative. If she could prove they were just a front to pay Franklin, she had him. She spent 2 hours looking at public records. The Interstellar Justice Initiative was started 3 years ago. Since then, it had paid Franklin over 200,000 credits for talks and writing. But Karoline could find no talks he had given, no writings with his name. Got you, she said under her breath. Her regular phone rang. It was Alan Webb, her boss. Karoline, I heard what happened. The firm is worried. Very worried. I know it looks bad, Karoline said, but I'm going to fight it. I have proof that Franklin is being paid by the Andromedans. What? Alan sounded shocked. That's a very big claim. It's true, Karoline said. He gets money from a fake group that is really run by the Andromedan High Council, and the case against me is fake too. His own helper filed it. There was a long pause. If you're right, this is a huge scandal. But if you're wrong, you'll never work as a lawyer again. I'm not wrong, Karoline said. The proof is in the public records. Franklin just didn't think anyone would look. What will you do? Alan asked. There's a rule called Judicial Conduct Code Section 22.3, Karoline said. It lets a lawyer ask for a review when there's proof a judge did something wrong. I'm going to file that request today. That's going straight at Franklin, Alan said. He won't like it. I don't care if he likes it, Karoline said. He tried to ruin me. Now I'm going to show everyone what he really is. After she hung up, Karoline went back to her office. She needed to write her request for the review. It had to be perfect. It had to show all the proof in a way that could not be ignored. She worked through the night. She put together the money records, the proof about Lyra Knox filing the fake case, and the records of Franklin's past cases. He had ruled against human lawyers in 94 out of 100 cases involving Andromedans. That was not a coincidence. The next morning, she took her request to the Galactic Court, but she did not take it to Franklin's floor. She took it to the top floor, where the Judicial Review Board had its offices. The woman at the desk looked surprised when Karoline handed her the request. This is against Judge Franklin, the woman said. Yes, it is, Karoline said. No one has ever filed a review request against him before. Then it's about time someone did, Karoline said. The woman stamped the request with the date and time. The board will decide in 48 hours if they will hear your case. Thank you, Karoline said. She turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. There should be 5 judges on the review. Make sure none of them got money from the Interstellar Justice Initiative. The woman's eyes got wide. I'll make sure. As Karoline left the court building, she felt lighter than she had in days. She had done what Franklin never expected. She had fought back. Now she just had to wait. She had just reached her apartment when her phone rang. It was a number she did not know. Hello? She said. Is this Karoline Leavitt? The voice was low and scratchy, like the person was trying to hide who they were. Yes, who is this? My name is not important, the voice said. What's important is that I work for the Interstellar Justice Initiative. I know what they're doing. I know about Franklin, and I want to help you. Karoline's hand tightened on the phone. Why would you help me? Because what they're doing is wrong, the voice said. Franklin is not the only judge they pay. There are others, many others. The whole system is dirty. I need proof, Karoline said. I have proof, the voice said. Meet me tonight at 10. The old spaceport, Bay 7, come alone. The call ended. Karoline stood still, her mind racing. This could be the proof she needed to not just get Franklin, but to clean up the whole system. But it could also be a trap. She had to go, but she would not go alone. She called Greg. I need your help, she said. And it might be dangerous. The old spaceport was dark and quiet at night. Most ships now used the new port on the other side of the city. This port was only used for old ships and storage. Karoline and Greg parked their car a block away and walked the rest. Greg had brought a small gun. He kept it hidden, but it made Karoline feel safer. I don't like this, Greg said as they walked. It could be a trap. I know, Karoline said. That's why I asked you to come. But if this person really has proof about more corrupt judges, I need to talk to them. Bay 7 was a big empty space where small ships used to land. Now it was just a flat area with some old lights around the sides. One light was on, making a small, bright spot in the middle. Stay back, Karoline told Greg. Watch from the shadows. If anything goes wrong, call for help. Greg nodded and moved to the side where it was dark. Karoline walked into the light. She waited, her heart beating fast. At 10 o'clock exactly, she heard footsteps. A figure walked toward her from the far side of the bay. It was wearing a long coat with a hood that hid its face. "Are you Karoline Leavitt?" the figure asked. It was the same scratchy voice from the phone. "Yes," she said. "Who are you?" "My name is Maya Lopez." The figure pulled back its hood. It was a woman with dark skin and short black hair. She looked nervous. "I work as a money keeper for the Interstellar Justice Initiative." "You said you have proof that they pay judges," Karoline said. Maya nodded. "I do. I keep the records. I know how much each judge gets and when and for what so-called reason." She took out a small computer disk. "It's all here, every payment for the last 3 years, to 12 different judges, including Franklin." Karoline looked at the disk. "Why are you giving me this? Why now?" "I took this job because I needed money," Maya said. "I didn't know what they were really doing at first, but then I started to see the pattern. The judges they paid would always rule for the Andromedans. Always. It's not right." "And why give this to me?" Carolina asked. "Why not go to the news or the police?" "The police won't do anything. The Andromedans have too much power, and the news would just make me disappear, but you're fighting back. You filed for a review. No one has ever done that before." Karoline took the disc. "Thank you. This could change everything." Maya looked around nervously. "I should go. If they find out I gave you this, I'm dead." Suddenly bright lights turned on all around the bay. A loud voice came from speakers somewhere above them. "This is Galactic Security. You are under arrest for meeting with a wanted criminal. Put your hands up." Maya's eyes went wide with fear. "No! They found me! Run!" Karoline yelled. She put the disc in her pocket and ran toward the shadows where Greg was hiding. Figures in black suits ran into the bay from all sides. Some had guns. They were not police. They were private security. The kind rich people hired. Greg ran out from his hiding spot, his gun in his hand. "This way!" he shouted to Karoline. They ran together toward a side door. Behind them, Maya was screaming as the security people grabbed her. "We have to help her," Karoline said. "We can't," Greg said. "There are too many of them. The best way to help her is to get that disc to the right people." They burst through the door and ran down a dark hall. They could hear people running after them. "There's a back way out," Greg said. "Through the old control room." They found the control room and ran through it. On the far side was a small door that led outside. They pushed through it and found themselves in a small alley. "The car is that way," Greg pointed. They ran to the car and got in. Greg started it and drove away fast, just as the security people ran out into the street behind them. "That was close," Karoline said, breathing hard. "Those were not real police." "No," Greg agreed. "They were private security, probably hired by the Andromedans." Karoline took the disc from her pocket. "We need to see what's on this. It could be the proof we need." They went to Greg's apartment. It was safer than Caroline's place. Greg had a computer that was not connected to the city network, so no one could track what they looked at. They put the disc in and looked at the files. There were thousands of them. Payment records, names of judges, dates, amounts, and notes about what cases each judge had ruled on after getting paid. "This is huge," Greg said. "These judges have been taking money and ruling for the Andromedans for years, hundreds of cases, thousands of people hurt by wrong rulings." Karoline was looking at a different file. "Look at this. Franklin got his first payment 3 years ago. Right after he ruled against a human mining company in the Rigel case. It's like they were rewarding him for that ruling. And then he kept ruling their way, and they kept paying him." "What do we do with this?" Greg asked. "We need to get it to the Judicial Review Board," Karoline said. "But we need to be careful. We don't know which judges we can trust." She found a file that listed all the judges who had been paid. She compared it to the list of judges on the review board. 3 of the 5 judges on the review board are on this list, she said. They've been paid too. Then we can't go to them, Greg said. The whole system is corrupt. Karoline thought for a moment. Not the whole system. There are still good judges like Chief Justice Eliza Winters. She's not on this list and she heads the Supreme Court. We need to get this to her. How? Greg asked. Security at the Supreme Court is tight, and the Andromedans probably have people watching us now. Karoline smiled. I have an idea. They're watching for us to go to the courts or the police. But there's one place they won't expect us to go. Where? Greg asked. To see Judge Franklin himself. Judge Franklin lived in a big house on the rich side of New Boston. It had tall walls around it and a gate with guards. Karoline knew it would not be easy to get in. This is crazy, Greg said as they parked down the street from Franklin's house. It was early morning, just after sunrise. He will call security as soon as he sees you. Maybe, Karoline said. But he will want to know what I have first, and that will give me time to make my deal. What deal? Greg asked. I'll tell him I won't share what I know about him taking money if he helps me get the disc to Chief Justice Winters. He has access to her, we don't. Greg shook his head. You're betting he cares more about saving himself than helping the Andromedans. People like Franklin always save themselves first, Karoline said. She got out of the car. Wait here. If I'm not back in 1 hour, take the disc to the news. All of them. Make copies first. Karoline walked up to the gate. The guard looked at her with surprise. I need to see Judge Franklin, she said. Tell him Karoline Leavitt is here and it's about the Interstellar Justice Initiative. The guard made a call. He looked shocked at the answer. Go in, he said, opening the gate. Karoline walked up to the front door. It opened before she could knock. Franklin stood there in a fancy robe. He looked angry. You have a lot of nerve. Coming here, he said. We need to talk, Karoline said. Privately. It's about the money you've been taking. Franklin's face went pale. He looked around quickly, then stepped back. Come in. He led her to a room with lots of books and a big desk. He closed the door. What do you want? He asked. Karoline took out a copy of the disc. I have proof you've been taking money from the Andromedans. You and 11 other judges. I also have proof you made up the case against me. Franklin's face got red. You're lying. No, I'm not, Karoline said. I have the payment records. I know about the Interstellar Justice Initiative and how it's just a front for Andromedan bribes. I know everything. Franklin sat down hard in his chair. What do you want? Money? I want justice, Karoline said. I want all the corrupt judges out. I want the system fixed. Franklin laughed. You can't fix the system. The Andromedans have too much power, too much money. Maybe, Karoline said. But I can start by fixing you. You have two choices. Help me get this disc to Chief Justice Winters, or I send it to every news group in the coalition. Winters? Franklin said. She's too clean. Too by the book. She'll want all of us out. That's the idea, Karoline said. Franklin thought for a long time. Then he nodded. Fine, I'll call her, but I want a deal in writing. I help you. You don't tell about me. No deal, Karoline said. I'm not here to make deals. I'm here because you have access to Winters and I don't. Either you help me get this to her, or I walk out and the whole coalition sees what you've done by noon. Franklin's eyes got narrow. You think you're so smart, but you don't know who you're dealing with. The Andromedans won't let this happen. They'll stop you. They can try, Karoline said. But once this information is out, it's too late. Now make the call. Franklin looked at her for a long time. Then he picked up his phone. Fine. But this won't end how you think. He made a call. Chief Justice Winters, this is Harold Franklin. I need to see you today. It's very important. He listened. Yes, I understand you're busy, but this is about the integrity of the Galactic Court. He listened more. Thank you. We'll be there. He hung up and looked at Karoline. She'll see us in 1 hour at the Supreme Court, her private office. Good, Karoline said. Let's go. They took Franklin's private car to the Supreme Court building. It was the oldest and most important court in the coalition. The car went through a special gate for judges, so no one saw Karoline. They took a private lift to the top floor. Winter's office was at the end of a long hall. 2 guards stood outside. They looked surprised to see Franklin with Karoline, but they let them in. Chief Justice Eliza Winters was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She looked up from her desk with surprise. Judge Franklin and Ms. Leavitt, this is unexpected. Thank you for seeing us, Karoline said. I have something you need to see. She put the disc on Winter's desk. This has proof that 12 galactic court judges, including Judge Franklin, have been taking money from the Andromedans to rule in their favor. The money comes through a fake group called the Interstellar Justice Initiative. Winters looked at Franklin. Is this true? Franklin looked down. He said nothing. I'll take that as a yes, Winters said. She put the disc in her computer and looked at some files. Her face got more and more angry as she read. This is worse than I thought. Much worse. She looked at Karoline. How did you get this? From someone who works at the initiative. She gave it to me last night. The Andromedans tried to stop us. They may have hurt her. Her name is Maya Lopez. Winters pressed a button on her desk. Security. I need a team to find and protect Maya Lopez. She works for the Interstellar Justice Initiative. This is top priority. She turned to Franklin. As for you, I'm placing you under house arrest pending a full investigation. You will hand over your judge credentials now. Franklin took out his judge card and gave it to her. He looked defeated. Winters turned to Karoline. Ms. Leavitt, you've done a great service to the coalition, but you're also in danger. The Andromedans won't like this. I know, Karoline said, but someone had to stop them. Indeed, Winters said. She pressed another button. I'm calling an emergency meeting of the Supreme Court. We need to remove these corrupt judges right away and start fixing the damage they've done. She looked at Karoline. Including clearing your record, of course. 3 days later, Karoline stood in Chief Justice Winters' office again. The news was full of stories about the corrupt judges. All 12 had been removed. The Andromedan High Council was denying everything, but no one believed them. We found Maya Lopez, Winters told Karoline. She's safe. She's helping us track all the cases that were wrongly decided. That's good, Karoline said. What happens now? We fix the system, Winters said, and we need good people to help do that. She handed Karoline an official letter. I'm appointing you to the new ethics board. You'll help make sure this never happens again. Karoline looked at the letter in shock. Me? But I'm just a regular lawyer. No, Winters said with a smile. You're a legal genius, and that's exactly what we need right now. Karoline took the letter. She had only wanted to clear her name. But now she had a chance to make the whole system better, to make sure justice was really just. I accept, she said, and I won't let you down. I know you won't, Winters said. Judge Franklin thought he could penalize you and get away with it. Instead, he discovered you're a legal genius, and now the whole coalition will benefit from that genius. Karoline smiled. Sometimes the best victories came from the worst defeats, and she was just getting started.